Dragon Ball podcast. I am your host, Alex, joined by our co-host, David.
What's going on, everybody?
And normally this would be where we mention that we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Daima, but Daima is not going to be in the discussion today, as we are going to be prepping for Set 4 of Fusion World, which will be releasing within the next 2 weeks. And to help us talk about Set 4, we invited a special guest on the pod with us today. Please welcome Phil Plays TCG. What's up, Phil?
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here. So yeah, Set 4 is coming out. I think this weekend coming up is going to be the pre-release, and then the full release drops next weekend. Right. But before we get into the Fusion World discussions, Phil, have you actually been watching Daima at all? How have you been enjoying that?
So, I'll be honest. I've watched the first episode because I am going to be probably going to get hate for this. I prefer to watch the English dub. That's what I grew up on. And it's one of those things that, like, I don't know, just the characters don't sound right to me if I don't hear them, with their English voice actors that I grew up with. So I've watched the first episode. I'm into it. Okay. I dig it. But I already bought my tickets for the movie theater showing that they're going to show the first 3 episodes in English dub.
Yep.
And then I think after that they're going to start releasing them, in English the week after that. So I'm just going to sit down with a couple of friends and we're going to watch all the first 3 episodes, in a theater, and then, try to experience that.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited. I've heard really good things about Daima. I've been spoiled some ways with some of the things they've shown off in the latest episode, but it doesn't bother me in the end. Like, I'm going to watch it regardless, and I'm just happy we actually get to have a new Dragon Ball show to talk about.
Yep, I feel the same way. It will be interesting to see how they handle the dub going forward, because by the time that dub releasing in the theaters comes out, I think they're already going to be on episode 5. So they'll be 2 episodes behind. So I'm assuming that it won't quite be simul-dub, but at the very least, we know, like, when the dub releases, maybe it'll be a weekly occurrence for the dub. We'll have to see.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Here's hoping.
But no, I feel you there on the dub part, because I remember watching Super. I came into Super really late, like probably towards close to the end of Tournament of Power, and like you, I grew up on like the English dub and stuff like that. So like I remember I got caught up to the dub but the sub was still going on, and I watched I can't remember which episode it was. It might have been UI Goku versus Kefla, and I'm just like, I can't. It's like the sub was just like, nope. But no, I feel you there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their taste and their personal preference. Obviously, major respect needs to go to Nozawa, who voices Goku in Japan, because she is the GOAT. Playing the same role for over 40 years. I mean, for about 40 years, like that takes dedication, and that's something that she gave her whole career to. So we got to give her props. But yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm a big. I grew up on the dub. I'll forever gas up the dub and just and give it the props that it deserves. So I'm with you there. All right, so Set 4 of Fusion World, set to release in 2 weeks. Phil, have you done any testing at all?
I have done a bit of testing. More so, I've done a lot of testing with 2 decks in particular. Blue Gohan and yellow Majin Buu. And I was really hopeful when they were doing the reveals. I'm like, okay, Blue's going to get a really cool leader. It's got a really cool, archetype, which seems to be graveyard manipulation or graveyard recursion in a different way that Blue typically does. Typically we grab things like 1 or 2 drop Earthlings from the trash back to hand. This time we have cards that activate, put cards in our discard pile. We can now grab Saiyans, which has never been done before. So I was excited. But when I saw the Gohan leader, I'll admit, I looked at that ability and I was like, this ability and this leader and this archetype is going to live or die dependent on its support, because it's so specific, only targeting extra cards that have both Earthling and Saiyan in their special tags. and because it minuses something by 2, not by 2 blue, just by 2, cards like Final Hope Slash, which costs 1, isn't affected, which makes sense. That card would absolutely be broken if it was free. But the support for it, I think, is really cool. I think it got some good cards. It got 3 major cards. But for the most part, as a whole, Blue Gohan feels like it's missing something. It's missing that big hit, which even though it has the secret rare, Blue Vegeta, but it relies so heavily on that one leader, or on that one secret rare, that the deck really doesn't do much else. It just focuses on entirely about getting this card out as quick as you can, and then playing another one as quick as you can. But that's pretty much it. So far, I don't think Blue Gohan's going to make a huge impact on the meta with his current tool or his toolbox. Yellow Majin Buu, though, really neat. He's incredibly aggro, being able to swing possibly 6 times in a single turn with things on the board. He's got really cool board control. He's got ways to make your opponent discard cards in their hand. He's got cards that play cards that play cards. It's very cool. I think those two, while both very fun, Buu is definitely the better of the two that I've at least done testing with. I have tested against Black Baby, and holy crap, Black Baby
love Black Baby.
He's gross. He's very aggressive, and I thought Bardock was aggressive as a black leader, but no. Baby is, I think, going to be the new best black leader going forward. He does things that Bardock would love to do. The biggest thing being able to use cards that are in rest mode in combo, so you can swing in with them, get their offense purpose, and then use them for defense later on, which then allows you to play other cards. If I'm remembering this correctly, it's gross. It's awesome. Green Vegeta, I haven't had a whole lot of testing with. I will admit. I've heard that it's decent. It's not the typical green style. Typically, green likes to ramp, get to 8 or 9 or 10 energy as quick as possible, play big boss after big boss. But green this time around wants to be more low to the ground. It wants to have like 4 or less energy and just play bigger bodies for less. So that's really cool. And then we have red UI Goku, and I think Bandai has a hard-on for red Goku leaders because everyone they ever make is so good.
Just red in general, like for whatever reason, like it's like you said, like every single red deck that has come out has always had solid support from the get-go, has never really needed much more in follow-up sets to really like build it up, and like red's just been consistent the entire with every set that's come out. And UI is the exact same way. It's just like there's I mean, I have my own thoughts on it, but it's like UI is still like solid just out the gate. Doesn't really need anything more than what it currently has at the current moment. Definitely as it goes, I think it'll need more support down the line to really make it stand out and to really help it like exceed. But yeah, it's still solid for what it is. So
it's gross with how, like, if we look at the past here, we have set 1 U7 Goku is really, really good. You also have the set 1 starter Goku, which wasn't very prominent at the beginning but became very prominent near the end of set 1's meta. Then you have set 2, and you have the scourge of Top Ku, who was the first leader that people were like, ban this leader, he is too good. But they of course had to nerf red as a whole because they can't nerf a leader that just came out. Then you have set 3. Set 3 probably took a little bit of a step back, but Jiren was very, very powerful. Beerus got a boost too. So you had red being very, very powerful. And now we have set 4. We have UI Goku, who, while at first glance you're like, oh, this ain't very good, but in practice, the leader is absolutely cracked. And from talking with some friends that have some connections with Bandai, and have a much bigger group to like talk with, like he even agrees that UI Goku may be the first leader they have to ban.
Really?
Like,
Really?
it's that good. Like in practice, I was talking with actually my buddy Jamaid, very very talented player, who he's just been practicing with UI, and he's like, yeah, dude, this deck is gross. This deck is disgusting. It's red control, and it's the best red control you could possibly get, like better than Beerus, because red as a whole has always been the tournament of power set. Like every set, it's just more tournament of power stuff. So they keep building upon the like archetype tools. Every set, you're getting new tools to work with your previous sets because everything's always been tournament of power. Well, every other set seemingly like does 2 sets of one archetype and then moves on to another archetype. Red always just seemingly keeps getting better tools and better cards to work with that all fit in that same archetype. Goku basically has a free super combo every turn, whether it's offense or defense. You play a big body on your board, or your opponent, God forbid, has a big body on their board. Guess what? Your Goku ability says you can copy that card's power once a turn. You say the Goku player has the red Vegeta that becomes a 50k body. Guess what? You can just swing now 50k for free. There's no discard requirement, no energy requirement. Just choose that card, swing in 50. Then you swing in with the 50k Vegeta on its own. That's 2 50k swings that your opponent's not going to get out of unless they have stored up all of their super combos.
Yeah, especially. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go on.
No, like especially like when you can copy on like a defense, and you have like TOP Arena out. You don't even need to spend a card to combo. You just be like, oh, copy that TOP Arena, and then
that's exactly what that is. Like you copy whatever they're swinging in with, and then use tournament arena. Boom. You just got out of their biggest attack, and you gave away no resources. And if they're playing against a green player, oh, guess what? That green player is just helping them out. Yeah. They have a Broly on board. Cool. They copy the Broly on defense and offense. It's absolutely insane how good that deck is. When most leaders have this, you either have to pay to use their ability or there's special requirements to use their ability. With Red Goku, it's just use it. No requirements.
Yeah, I have my own thoughts, but David, you're the one that me and David have been doing a lot of testing for the new set already. David's big focus, I think, going into next set though was going to be UI and like Jiren were like the 2 things that kind of stood out. David's the resident red player here.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
so before I give my thoughts on that, David, where are you standing with UI Goku and the red support?
Like when we were testing, I'm not the best deck builder. So like when we were like testing initially, I'm like, I just threw in big cards and thought stuff that might help, and I'm like, I don't know how well this is going. Like you were beating me left and right, especially with baby Vegeta, but it wasn't until like I kind of found a list on Deck Planet that kind of had a more fleshed out deck, and it was a whole different ball game. Like just using like even like the Diamond Nimbus, like because from what I found, like you can't draw, or even when you're awakened, like get a card from UI Goku. So having those like Nimbus cards, a lot of cantrips, just basically getting all that draw power, plus being able to just kind of defend and ramp up until you can play the secret rare, which is ridiculous, by the way.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
But I think I agree with you. I think it's gonna be pretty meta. But I think I'm more looking forward to Jiren though, because he got a lot of good support.
Okay. I haven't seen too much Jiren stuff. I know Jiren's good. I know he got the rare Jiren card from the set. I can't remember for the life of me what it does, but I remember people talking about it.
Yeah, it's 6 cost, 40k power, no combo. It's got a permanent skill where it cannot even be removed off the board. It can only be removed by it can only be removed by combat.
It's like a game ender though, because basically it brings your, if you have 2 life, it brings you down to 1, and it's a 40k. So
yeah, so it's a burner card where its on play effect is if your opponent's a 2 or more life, you take a damage, and then your opponent takes a damage. So it's one of those things where, like, if you play him early, like he's a sticky body that can't be removed. And then on top of that, like, you're burning your opponent's life, and you're also self-awakening in that aspect. If Jiren's already awakened, he's kind of a crux card where, like, you kind of have to, like, be a little particular about when you play him, because it's not like you get a life back like every other card that he's gotten so far. You burn yourself down, if you take yourself down to 1, like, that's it. Like, you got to go for game at that point. But that card's really good. The new 4-cost topo is perfect against decks that Jiren is weak to. Which would be your favorite deck, Phil?
No. Rise in blue.
Yeah, he's got a couple extra options, but nothing like too crazy outside of that. Yeah. He's got stuff that'll allow him to, like, stick around longer, and kind of flesh out that hand advantage that he's supposed to have.
Okay. Man, that is sketchy. That is scary. Red's coming back with a vengeance this set after, like, being gone for a whole set.
Yeah.
Well, besides Jiren, makes sense. I guess Jiren has risen up in the meta recently. A buddy of mine, shout out Cody, he basically told me that he's always been a staunch defender of Red Jiren being a great deck, but people would say, oh, he auto loses to blue. And it's like, no, he doesn't auto lose. You just need to know how to play it into blue. And I think recently people have started learning how to play Jiren into blue, and we've seen a pretty steep decline of blue decks topping, I guess, as much. They still do, absolutely. Blue and green are, I think, like the 2 most topped colors this last meta. But Red Jiren has also been up there too. He's won his fair share of events, and I think that you're right. I think Jiren is in a great position to just hop into set 4's meta with a lot more oomph this time around.
Yeah. I'm not completely sold on UI just yet. I know that his ability can have some devastating effects. But I think the biggest issue for UI Goku is, I think it's 3 things. First off, it's like David mentioned, it's the fact that he doesn't get a draw on Awakening, and he loses his ability to draw. That in itself, I think, automatically makes him worse than Jiren, because Jiren's ability to not only have a bunch of cards that allow him to replace his life that he takes, and then draws an extra card on top of that. Obviously they're 2 separate decks, so they're not meant to function the same way. But, like, as soon as UI Goku awakens, like, you're on a ticking clock. Eventually you are going to run out of cards in your hand, and depending on the stuff that you're going to be playing, you're not always going to have the opportunity to play 20k bodies that can get you that free draw, or even cantrips at that point, because depending on what your opponent is doing and playing, there's other cards that take more precedence to play. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that his card pool, in terms of what his card pool that comes with him this set is, like, he's got some really good options. Like, the 5-cost Frieza is fantastic for that deck. The fact that it cannot even be removed off board the first turn, and it's a 45k body until the end of your opponent's turn, like, I think is enough I think that alone is enough to keep him, like, in the running for, like, some of the better decks in the format. The problem stems from the fact that there's a lot of battle cards that have, like, on opponent's turn effects that boost up their own power, and I don't think that that's enough to really help cater to what UI wants to do. Like, the only one that really sticks out to me in terms of all of that support is the 4-cost UI Goku that goes to 40 on defense. It's solid, but at the same time, like, it's basically a vanilla on your turn that you're playing. And so for 4 cost, just being a vanilla 30k swinger, like, there might be better things to play on that turn than just that. I know, like, one match that we played, I think I think it was on the Deck Planet list that you made, David. You played 4-cost Topo.
In UI?
In UI, you played the 4-cost Topo that takes a life and then replaces it, because that facilitates your draw.
You're probably right. I'm having trouble.
Like that was one thing you played that, like I think you got up to like 8 energy and you played that back to back, and so that was 2 30k bodies that you played on that turn that gave you 2 cards in hand without you like really removing anything out of hand either. And then I think I had like a 6-cost like Vegeta on board. I was testing out the Gohan deck, I think. And I had a 6-cost Vegeta, and you just used that to copy his power when you needed it. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of like just his toolkit, I think the thing with UI Goku is that if you're not playing the new secret rare for UI Goku, or you're not playing the Frieza back to back, something that's able to stick around and give you that high power defensive capability and that high offensive pressure. I think UI Goku really just kind of flounders. And there could be some things that I'm forgetting of that are releasing this set that would actually go a long way to help him out here. But just based off of what I've seen and just how I see it kind of progressing with UI, I think the latter match is really going to be like you're playing blitz. You have to just go into your opponent as fast as you can in the hopes that you can wear him down before they wear you down.
Yep. I can see that.
And then the third thing that I have for UI Goku is that against wide board decks, he just stands no chance. If your opponent, not to say that the Boo Tanks leader is going to be like a natural enemy to UI. It's not going to be the thing that shuts UI down. I still think that UI has an advantage over Boo Tanks, but the fact that on your perfect curve at 5 energy with the appropriate board already present, like Boo Tanks can get like 5 to 6 swings in on one turn, and I think that's gonna it's gonna be a lot of pressure to be going into the leader, and that's going to hurt UI more than anything else, and especially with the likes of like Baby. I think is probably a neutral, is in like neutral opposition to UI Goku, and the fact that Baby is able to play not only wide but he's able to play tall because of how his whole like rest mode combos work. Like I think is really going to put UI on the back foot in a lot of ways.
See, I think Baby might have a better matchup into UI than Boo Tanks. Boo Tanks doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't build a wide board per se because he's constantly KOing his own stuff to get extra abilities. While with Baby, like you're playing the card, you're swinging, you're playing another card, you're swinging, then you're comboing those cards after they've. Well, I guess in a weird way, they are similar. I guess now that I think about it,
the difference being is that Baby can be the aggressor, whereas Boo Tanks has control in his wide offensive. Like just being able to play that 3-cost Babidi into a 3-cost Buhan, or even like the buff Kid Buu that's able to swing for 30 twice. Just being able to just get that hand destruction on UI Goku and keeping his hand small early on in the fight, I think is really going to set UI back too.
Even better though, you could play the 5-drop Kid Buu that plays the
Babidi,
that plays the 3-drop Buhan or Barrier Buu.
Yeah,
and that when I realized that, oh wait, he plays wizards too. He doesn't play just Majins. I was like, this combo is snapped.
It's very broken.
It's so good because yes, like if you're playing the right deck, your opponent's going to drop 2 cards out of their hand. You're going to draw one, and then you're going to be swinging with a 25 and a 35 double striker. Like, yes, give me that.
Yeah. So I think UI, like I think UI is probably like if I were to choose just the leaders that have released from this set and put them on like a tier list, I think anybody could. I think for me, you could make the argument that Buhan or I keep getting it mixed up. Bootanks or Baby, I think, is in the 1 and 2 spot, and you could flip flop them depending on like who you talk to. People can make an argument, and I don't think I can really argue that. I don't think I can really argue that point on which is better, because I think they both kind of do similar things, just in different ways. But I still think like UI is like third. Like I still think UI is like third best leader in the set. I just think that with the amount of support that Jiren got, I think Jiren just stands above and beyond as the best red deck going into set 4 versus UI.
I can see that. Now, I think it also kind of depends on what other colors we can see, we see most likely being played in these big events. Because let's face here, this recent last meta has come down to basically a triangle of green androids, blue Vegeta, and black Bardock. It's just been this triangle of 3 colors. Now with the addition of this new set, the big question on everyone's mind is this set and the new leaders going to shake up the meta in some particular way? If we were just thinking about the new 5 set leaders, and let's throw in the 2 star deck leaders, because we also forgot those come out next Friday.
This
Friday.
Yep.
They come out this Friday. Daima, Goku, and Vegeta. What are the leaders we can see making that big impact on the meta? Right off the bat, Black Baby. I think that's kind of a consensus that I think Black Baby is going to be the more played aggro leader than Bardock. Hell, I even think Goku GT might be played more than Bardock right now, because
I actually, if you want, I actually put out a post on my YouTube today, getting a general consensus on what people think is going to shape the black meta going into set 4. So this is only with a couple hours being up, but the poll that I put up, I basically asked which of the black leaders do you think is going to stand out the most this set? Which deck will you be playing? Let's talk about it. And it's right now it's at 27 votes. But right now it's an even tie between Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Bardock at 22% each, and then Super Baby 2 is way ahead at 56% of that poll. So
I feel like Super Saiyan 4 got some decent new cards for this set, but I don't see them getting pushed over hitting the top tier as Baby is, or
no.
I think Goku got enough support that I think he is a better leader now than Bardock is, but Baby is still top tier for the meta contenders. Blue Gohan, just it hurts to say this. No, he's not. He's just he's not good. His archetype is cool, but it just doesn't do enough. At least not to warrant playing him over something like Blue Vegeta, which Blue Vegeta is just good generic blue leader. Yep. So Blue Trunks got a little bit of a buff, but not. I mean, I guess Blue Trunks and Zamasu got a bit of a buff that I think that warrants them being played over the new Gohan as well. Sad to say.
Satan City Goku is definitely going to stand out next set. I think. I don't think that Goku got enough appreciation in set 3, and I think that's just because his toolkit was a little lack of better words. Weird. It was a very weird archetype. And despite all the good drawing consistency that he's able to do, the fact that he's able to cheat stuff out on the board for free and whatnot, the generic blue stuff that a lot of the blue decks kind of run doesn't really flow with that deck. As well as it probably could.
Yeah, you can't run generic good blue. You have to 95% Satan City and then maybe a splash of good blue. But at that point, he's great early game, but late game, I just never felt like he was able to do much. But with the new Videl card, that might give him a little bit of a boost. Plus, did not realize this, the new Krillin card in the Vegeta Daima deck is Satan City.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. He's a 4-cost Satan City with it's a 30k body that will minus something on the board by 1 when attacking if you have 7 or fewer cards in hand.
Yeah, harder to beat body. Yeah,
that's a really big body that I feel like Satan City needed more of.
And then there's also Great Saiyaman 2 that cheats out Great Saiyaman 1 for free out from your drop. So you can easily combo, if you get those early, you combo those out of your hand early and then play that out. You got a 20k and a 30k body that you can swing on board. Can cheat it off the field too. Like, I think Satan City will stand out this set.
Yeah, I'll have to go give it another chance because I bought the alternate art leader. I've got the deck mostly foiled out. Like, I really like it, but I just felt like if I was going to play blue, it just made more sense to play Vegeta. And obviously the meta shows that it was the right move, at least for that time. Daima Vegeta, I think it is probably one of the worst leaders that we've gotten. It pains me because when I read his ability, I'm like, okay, there's got to be cards in his deck that just make him really good, because this ability is trash towards the end game. And when we got the leader, I'm like, this is still trash. Like, there's nothing in his deck that really pushed him to a point where I could be like, yeah, I'll play Daima Vegeta. Like, there's nothing in there that says I would play this. Because
Cooler.
Yeah, oh my god.
We all forgot about him, didn't we?
Hey, Cooler got support in this set.
Cooler is actually out of his own trash tier, which I think at this point, which is
right.
Like,
which is so funny.
Like, you could take them to locals and you could actually have a good time with them, I think.
Yeah. Now you can throw Daima Vegeta in trash tier because
it's now the Daima Vegeta tier and not the Cooler tier anymore.
It's so bad. I mean, it's like it minuses a 1 cost. Oh, sorry, it bottom decks a 1 cost. For paying 1, you only hit a 1 cost. The most you can nerf something in this game, like based off the cards here, is like 2 off a 1 card.
Yeah. We have 2 cards that do that. We have the Satan City Hercule, and we have the
new Daima Vegeta SR.
Yes, and that's
in the set, not in the starter deck, which is super weird.
That I thought that whole way that they handled that was really weird. The fact that
I know,
like, all the Daima stuff should have just been in the Daima decks, and I probably would have made the Daima decks like a lot better than what they are. But I mean, we got to make money, so it's I get it.
Exactly. Bandai's got to make that bag. But yeah, like, I love that card. Speaking of that card, I love that card.
Yeah.
It's just in the Vegeta Vegeta starter, Vegeta Daima. I combined the words. Blooper.
It's all right. The podcast is labeled as explicit for in case of these mistakes, so we're all good.
Oh, yeah. It's a bad leader. Now, on the other hand, the Goku Daima deck is the leader is actually not bad. He is basically like starter Goku, but in a weird way better, because he can nerf something on your opponent's board by 5 while buffing himself by 5, if I remember that correctly.
Yep, but boosts up a battle card by 5 and then minuses an opponent's battle card by 5. Yep,
that is awesome. Yeah, that is very good. That is something that why did Vegeta get such a lame ability and Goku Daima got something that's good? Like, he's genuinely a better leader than the starter deck Goku is. Like, I don't see a reason why to play.
The only thing that I can think of as to why they would set up Daima Vegeta the way that they did, and I'm gonna backpedal from like previous videos that I've put out too. Like, I was initially saying that like Daima Vegeta starter deck is just better than the Daima Goku leader, just because the support in the starter deck is better, I think, than what is in than what the majority of the Daima Goku starter deck is. But now I am definitely thinking that even if the starter deck itself isn't as good as the Daima starter deck Vegeta, that the Daima Goku leader is just better outright, because he's more generic than what the Daima Vegeta's doing. But the only thing that I can think of as to why they built him the way that they did is that obviously Daima is still going. It's still extremely early on. We're not even 25% of the way through the series. And obviously there's still many things that are probably going to get revealed in the show. There's going to be new characters, new transformations, new attacks probably shown, stuff like that. And at some point, I think we are just going to get a lot more Daima support. Probably going into set 5, we'll probably get a lot more. Because by that point, I think the series will just about be over. I think there might be a couple weeks of show left when set 5 comes out. So
20 episodes, I think.
I can believe it.
Yeah, I think it's like 22, 23 episodes. So, yeah. So the only thing that I can think is that future support, because all these cards are made in advance. So like as set 3 was getting ready to release, they were already hard at work developing set 4, and they were already probably in the early stages of getting set 5 going. So there's probably something coming in set 5 that's going to really bolster down the cost minusing effect for that Daima Vegeta. Because otherwise it is just bad card design, if not. So it really just comes down to see what happens later on. But I'm with you. I think definitely that Vegeta leader probably should have been. It probably should have just been like bottom deck. Like, first off, I don't think the energy cost should have even existed. There's no reason for you to have to pay an energy to bottom deck something.
Right, especially a 1 cost.
Yeah.
If it was like tap 1, bottom deck a 2 cost, sure, there's like, you can make an argument for that. But bottom decking a 1 cost, yeah, that should have just been a free once per turn thing.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of discussion about it too. Like, that Vegeta probably should have like minus something by 1 or 2 per turn, and then instead of just bottom decking outright, like it should have just had
Zamasu that does that, like a one top Zamasu that just that's the leader ability right there.
Yeah, right. That would have been a really cool thing to have on just have him on a leader ability, because with this type of leader, I can imagine you want to awaken early to get use out of its ability early. So you're going to be running a crap ton of self-awakeners, but blue, for the most part, doesn't want to awaken quickly. For most of blue decks, they want to
relatively defensive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, except Satan City Goku. He's like the one exception to that rule, and now we have this Vegeta that wants to also be, awakened really, really quickly. But going back to some of the other leaders in the set coming out, have you got any practice with set 4 Green Vegeta?
Yeah, you did a little bit.
Yeah, I did a little bit. So he's definitely very different from every other green deck. And I really like that. For the past couple sets, I've been really like just hating the idea of like, oh, I have to get the 8 energy. I have to get the 8 energy. Because that's where all my plays are at. So playing Vegeta has felt very refreshing. It's been a nice change of pace for the green archetype to have to play like every other deck, essentially. I think the best thing about him is that like his leader ability coupled with like his field card makes him extremely consistent. You literally just sit at like 5 energy for the majority of the game. On occasion you go up to 6 energy to play the double strike grade 8 Vegeta. He takes you down to 5. Then you activate leader ability to play a 3 cost on the board. And then field allows you to go back up to 5 to then either do that play over again next turn, or at the very least, like, you don't have to necessarily charge next turn. So I like how consistent Vegeta feels. I think a lot of the support that he's gotten is pretty good for the most part. I know the new 3 cost Raditz is fantastic. Allows you to get cards from your drop back into your hand.
Yes.
Which is really good. But then there's also like support, like the 3 cost Vegeta that you can play off leader effect, which is basically just the Android 20 that searches for the field and plays it. Not the biggest fan of that card. I didn't like that Android 20 in set 1. I don't like it here in set 4. So
and as someone who was playing against the green Vegeta, I don't know if it's because I kind of played it with Alex so much that I kind of know how he plays a little bit, but compared to other decks, and I think it's maybe because the energy pool is like very limited on once you want to be like 4 to 5 to 6, it could be very predictable.
Yeah.
When he's going to 6, like, I already know he's playing that grade 8 Vegeta double strike, or that when he plays that SR Goku, he's gonna drop it back into his drop, and I can't remember what the effect does when he does that, but I think, or maybe because there isn't that many cards out for Vegeta, that makes him more of a mystery what he's gonna play. But that's just kind of my feel on it.
Yeah, so it's like the beauty of it is that as long as it's a Saiyan only card, you can cheat out a 3 cost or less. So so obviously you have all the new 3 costs that have come out. The 3 cost Raditz is a card that you can play off of him that KOs an Earthling to ramp up. That's an option that you could run. The cantrip Gokus you can play for free essentially off of them. Which I don't know if that's something you'd want to, just because you're getting rid of an energy to play a cantrip, but
right.
But it's still, you're not paying 1 energy, so I guess if you're losing an energy to play something for free that would cost an energy, I guess it's not that bad. But I think he definitely needs that needs more variety in terms of the 3 cost support that he gets in the future. I think that's the only thing that's like really holding him back, is just lack of options. Okay. Obviously, you got like the Self-Awakening Nappa, which is really good. And he's a 30k body. That just sticks around. But yeah, I think Vegeta is good. I think Vegeta has potential. I think he definitely got enough support to make him viable, unlike Piccolo last set.
Hey, Piccolo got support this set.
He got some support this set. I'm curious to play Piccolo with the new support, but yeah, no, I like Vegeta. I played with his generic stuff, and I think he feels good with like his actual like support that he got this set. I tried running some Piccolo options to see if maybe like I tried running some with the Great Ape Vegetas. I tried running some of the 6 cost Piccolos. Mm-hmm. Just on the off chance that like, oh, he gets KO'd, well, at least Vegeta gets some life back. Like that in it, and like he's not a dead card in hand either, so like he's not that bad to run in that deck. But I think there's still better options you could run outside of that. The only other tech that I want to do with that Vegeta is there's like the 6 cost Raditz blocker that plays the 7 cost Vegeta vanilla.
Oh yeah.
That's like the only other thing that I want to try out and see if that works well for that. The only downside I see to that is that obviously when you're at 6 energy, if you play that Raditz, you're not going down to 4. So you can't use the leader skill to play a 3 cost for free. Because you have to be at 4 or less energy. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like I'm playing this because I know that I'm going to be able to block something that gets played on board, and hopefully it's a 35,000 power blocker. So it's like, hopefully they see it as troublesome enough that they want to KO it so I can play my 45 cost 7 cost Vegeta. No, I think Vegeta's fine. He's definitely one of the weaker cards, I think, in set 4, but I think if he gets a bit more support that plays within like the way he wants to play, I think he could actually be a pretty standout leader.
Like if I were to just take the 5 leaders we got in the set, not including the star deck leaders, I would probably say from weakest to strongest, I'd say Blue Gohan's probably the weakest. Mm-hmm. Green Vegeta's probably next.
Yep.
I'd say Yellow Boo is probably 3rd. Black Baby and UI Goku are kind of like going to be flip-flopping for that top spot, at least for this set. But when it comes to overall, like if these new leaders are going to impact the meta, I think only half of them are going to, if that. Mm-hmm. UI Goku, I think, will make a splash for a while. I can see Black Baby just being the de facto black leader for the set, for the meta going forward. Yellow Bootangs, I think if you can figure out how to play him, you can sequence him right. He's very, very good. Green Vegeta, like based off what you said, sounds like a really interesting deck, and he can apply a decent amount of pressure early on. And then there's Gohan, and I think
that's got to kill you, by the way. Like when I saw the full list of what Blue was doing this set, and I knew that you were excited for Gohan. I know UniXTCG is really excited for Gohan. And I saw that list and like my heart sank for you guys, because I for Uni being the big Gohan stan that he is, and you just being the go-to Blue guy, like I was just like, man, I don't think this is at all what they wanted him to be.
I remember like waking up at like 5 a.m. in the morning, checking my phone. I'm there like half asleep, scrolling through these new reveals, and I get to the end and I'm like, where where's the rest of it? I'm missing something. I have to. This deck doesn't seem that good. It's got cool cards. It just doesn't have a good game plan. And I cannot tell you how many times where I've played games where like I get my Vegito out and I'm swinging in and I'm at 0 cards in deck because I've decked myself out, and my opponent's like, KO Vegito, you lose. I'm like, yep. Like Vegito has no protection. Like, he's a big body, but any card that just kind of KOs something on board or minuses him off the board, like, then you just auto lose. So it's like you play a very, very specific game with him. And that's why
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just like, it just feels like blue got some really cool stuff that can go into other blue leaders, but Gohan just is not. He's not it right now, and hopefully he gets the support later on. But you know, we got some cool cards. That's always fun. But
so in your secret reveal video that you did, SCR video, but I remember you saying that you needed to test more between the UI Goku and the Vegito. I kind of probably already know the answer to this, but after test playing, which one do you think is better?
Oh, I mean, like overall, I think UI Goku is just better. Like in the color, like he is a more generic, good red SCR, while this Vegito, yes, is generic, borderline generic. He just is better if you mill yourself out. And if you do that, you are literally putting yourself in danger, while UI Goku just straight up says, hammer that next attack, next damage you take. Yeah, don't worry about it. And then you have a 40k swinger that also just board wipes your opponent every turn, is stupidly good. I'm looking at it right now because I got a list of all the cards up in front of me. I'm like, this smug son of a bitch. Like, here's my only thing though. Here's my one thing. This is not like a competitive thing. Why did they drop the bag with the God Rare this set?
Yeah.
They had the bag and then they dropped it into lava, into a black hole. Like this SCR, so this God Rare, I straight up thought they were introducing another like tier of card, being like, oh, it's the special version of the
super God Rare.
Yeah, and then when people are like, is this the God Rare? And I'm like, wait, no, it's not the God Rare. And then people are saying, no, it's the God Rare. Look at it. It's got the 2 stars next to its rarity. I'm like, I'm looking at that right now, like the 2 of them side by side. There is so little difference in the God Rare in comparison to the alt art. It just screams laziness to me.
The alt art has like a purple border versus the God Rare doesn't.
It looks like the 6 up top, the 6 cost is gold in the God Rare. It's got a little bit more gold foiling, but that's it.
Yeah. So that was really disappointing when I saw that too. I was like, really? Like we couldn't have at least like, even if like the foil effect for the God Rare wasn't like as like profound as it probably could be. Like I would have been fine with that if excuse me, if the art was at least different.
Right.
So I was a little disappointed on that, but I think the reason why they did that is because set 5 is the 1-year anniversary of Fusion World. And so the only thing that I can think of is that a lot of the budget is probably going into set 5 in preparations for that. And so the God Rare had to take a hit this set in order to facilitate the 1 year. But
but like there's one other thing too, and somebody at my One Piece locals who was a Dragon Ball player, he's quit the game unfortunately, but he basically told me, he's like, we're already at set 4 and we're already repeating the secret rares being UI Goku and Vegito.
And that is fair. Yeah.
Red, it's another UI Goku. Sure, but it's mastered Ultra Instinct. It's still Ultra Instinct Goku. Yeah. But it's Vegito still. Like it just feels like they're already starting to repeat things. Like the only two blue secret rares are Vegito cards.
Yeah.
The only two red secret rare cards are UI Goku.
And I think that stems from the comment you made earlier about how red is strictly like the Tournament of Power. It's strictly the Tournament of Power stuff. At the very least, like it's with the Vegetos, it's Super Vegito from Majin Buu Saga versus Blue Vegito from the Fusion Trunk, the Zamasu arc. Yeah. So I mean, at least there's some difference there, and I'm sure that down the line, there will be more like distinction when they reuse those characters again. Like maybe in the naming convention of the characters, maybe it's like Vegito Buu Saga, and then like maybe they'll start putting like arcs or something behind character names to kind of I don't know. But I mean, at least for the UI Goku though, that's 100% a flaw from the fact that like red is nothing but Tournament of Power. So it's
right. It's just like I always feel like, oh, next set they'll do something different. It's like, nope, it's still Tournament of Power. It's still and it all works with each other. There's all like Universe 7 stuff, or there's Tournament of Power stuff. Like it all just it goes so well together. No wonder red is always doing so well. Is because it has this huge set of toolbox cards, while other cards straight up go to a completely new archetype, new setting or new era in the Dragon Ball saga, and it just you get two sagas that help each other out, like two sets that help each other, and then you move on. Red just like, no, we keep this thing going.
You played Masters when it first came out, right?
Yes, since day one, baby.
Was that it's the way that is the card release and card progression from like Masters like equivalent to what's going on in Fusion World in that sense? Because I only started at like set 10 in Masters.
So funny enough, for a while people were commenting about how Fusion World was just following the Masters playbook for a couple reasons. There was set 1, you had Blue Goku as like the icon. There's a box back here behind this Gogeta statue. And in set 1 of Masters, there was a Super Saiyan Blue Goku leader, and he was on the main box as well. Set 2 rolls around, and the God Rare, or that's the secret rare at that time, was Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. What was one of the God Rare in set 2 for Fusion World? Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. And then you have set 3. The God Rare in set 3 Fusion World was SS4 Goku. The secret rare in set 3 of Masters was Super Saiyan 4 Goku. It was this thing where like, oh, they're just kind of copying. And then when we saw the promo images for this set, Ultra Limit with UI Goku, and people were like, it's a Tournament of Power set. Like that was the 4th set they released in Masters. Not the official set 4, but it was the 4th set overall release. Yeah. Was a Tournament of Power release set. I actually have a pack of that up there in the little corner that my buddy bought me. It's a sealed booster pack of that set.
Those go for so much. I wish that I was able to jump on that before the prices on that completely skyrocketed.
That's like an $85 pack. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's nothing in that set that is worth anything except for the secret rare.
Yeah, the booster box itself, I think, is going for close to like $1,500 right now. I think.
What?
So, yeah,
that is true. That is true, which is crazy to me. But yeah, for a while, like they were just, it seemingly the games were copying each other, but then it was revealed, oh, this is not a Tournament of Power set. This is just red being Tournament of Power, but the rest of the set's new. So they stopped kind of copying or following that same trend. But I do want to say that Masters also was a bit different because it had 2 leaders per set for each color. So
it was a lot slower in terms of like the meta. Yeah.
Right. So like, for example, in set 2, we had, in Fusion World, set 1 was Future Trunks and, Goku Black. Set 2, we had, Blue Zamasu. In Masters, I'm fairly positive in set 2, we had all 3 of them. We had, I think early sets of Masters actually had 3 leaders per set.
Wow.
And yeah, it was crazy. I think for set 2, it was Trunks, Goku Black, and Fuse Zamasu.
How did that work with How did that work with 4 colors?
Badly. You basically had each leader had their own obviously their own different abilities on front and back. And then in the set, you had cards that were specifically good for certain leaders, and then you had a couple good generic cards. So deck building became like, if you're going to run this leader, you're going to run their small package, but then you have a bunch of generic good cards from the previous set. With this, because they've said they don't want to like create too many cards per set. They've limited it to 1 leader per color per set. Now, depending on who you ask, some people have said that is a detriment to the game as a whole, because when you get only 1 leader per color each set, you find out, oh, this is how this leader plays. Is it good? Yes or no. And then if it's good, you keep playing. If it's bad, you just go back to the previous leader from the previous set. So there's not a whole lot of room for deck expression, where you're able to build something like, based off like, oh, I think this is good, versus something that like, it feels like in Fusion World, this might be a whole other tangent, I apologize, but it feels like once you find out the correct way to build a specific deck, that's what everyone plays. In Masters, at least early on, in hell, even now, they're not limited by colors. They get, right now 2 leaders per set. So you have more options about who you want to play. And each leader has their own small little package of cards that you can throw in, and then throw in the good stuff afterwards. Fusion World, while I think Fusion World is a much more enjoyable game to me, because I don't have to worry about all of the crazy hectic rules that Masters has now, which people have told me Masters is basically just a runaway train, and you just kind of go with it. You do There's really not much you can do. You just kind of go with it. You embrace the hectic, you embrace the crazy. But the Fusion World, while I think it is much more streamlined and much more approachable to play, you do have to admit that after about a month and a half into the new format, things have already been kind of figured out. Decks have, like, the good decks have been picked out. You find out how to build those decks, and you just play. And what I've noticed is every time something pops up like, oh, hey, check out these deck lists for the top first and second place deck list,
they're all the same. Yep.
It's the same deck, maybe like 1 or 2 card differences and ratios, but it's the same leaders, the same cards. And I can admit that kind of gets a little boring after a while. Like, oh, well, we know what's good. But I feel like what's really awesome about Fusion World right now is that every set, they're introducing new leaders, new archetypes, but also supporting old ones. Like, I'm looking at the card list right here, and like, there's a bunch of old support for set 1 leader, set 2, set 3, so it's giving you that creative freedom to try out the new leaders, try out the new archetypes, but you're also getting a chance to buff up your old favorites that may now be able to hang out and play in the meta. But certain support is better than others, obviously, but it's still really cool. With like Masters, you would have to wait like sets, because every set would be
you got 2 leaders per color, and then like you have multicolored options, and like it's so it's like
crazy to me.
You just have way more stuff to work with. You'd have like, most of the set would be like archetype specific this, archetype specific stuff for that, and then you have a little bit of generic stuff. So there's never really any room for previous archetype support. With Fusion World, they're making sure they're giving you old archetype support, because they want you to keep playing those old leaders, and I really like that. Jiren got a buff. He was just in the last set. There's cards for Cell. There's cards for Android still. There's cards for GT Goku, Frieza from set 1. Like, they're not forgetting about these old leaders. So I think that's super cool. Tangent over. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, I mean I empathize with that, because for me it's not even like it's like you said, like going a month and a half in, by the time like everything's already figured out, people already have the decks built in the most optimal way, and as a lot of people kind of put it, Fusion World does kind of come off to be kind of like a rock paper scissors format in terms of how it's played, and I think that's an accurate statement just from the sheer fact that like everything's kind of cookie cutter, like everything has its like things that it's good against and then things that it's weak against. But the thing for me is that like everyone knows by the month and a half point, everybody already knows like how to get around most of those stuff. Even if they don't always win every time, they know how to get around it. And we still have another month and a half till the next set. So so for me, it's more so just the time frame. Like Masters releases a set every 2 months.
Pretty much.
Yeah, whereas Fusion World is every 3 months. And while I can appreciate, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but like this, I think you'll find this fun, or I guess not fun. Find this interesting. Is that my brother? You know, he's my co-host on the channel. He pops in from time to time. He specifically is a huge Masters player. He plays Fusion World, but he prefers Masters right now. He told me he is absolutely livid, and his Masters community is livid because they just announced they're not producing another Masters set until March of next year.
Oh no! Is it happening? Is the fear that everyone kind of had when Fusion World got announced happening now?
I think that it could be that. It could also be that Bandai has once again like kept. They're printing more and more different games. You have Union Arena, you have Sandland Tactics, you have the Gundam game coming out, and there's a chance that they may need those factories to help produce those cards, and so they're taking that as a way to like, hey, you know what? Masters can be fine for like another 4 or 6 months. Like we'll let them go. Well, I got 4 months. We'll let them do their thing, and we'll just focus on other card games for now, and we'll come back to you later and see how it goes. But I do think that is a really bad sign when a game is pushed that like another set's not going to come out for that long, and people are probably just going to be a bit bored with the current meta.
At the very least, they need to rework like the ban and errata list to play in the favor of that. Like there's no there's so many cards on that ban list that I think heavily restrict like what you can and can't play in Masters. And so I think if you're going to, let's see, the last set came out in October, so that would be it'd be a 6-month wait between the last set and the next set.
Yep, you're right. Holy crap.
So I think in that case, like they probably need to adjust like the ban list to like allow some stuff that's been out of play for a real long time to actually see some play. And then or even like errata some stuff to like make it playable. Like I remember, I think it was set 22. It was Red Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. I played that meta, and I got every single card I needed for that deck, and I was excited to play that deck. And then not even like 3 or 4 weeks after that whole deck came out, immediate ban for like half that deck list. It was like,
oh yeah, no, that deck was stupid. It was one of like the meta that was basically SS4 Goku Vegeta, Red Sin, and Blue Gamma. Yeah, like those are the 3 decks you played. If you played anything else, you were just wrong. And it was awful. Like, and then they had to put down the ban hammer on like all of it. They banned all 3 leaders, which put all their cards out of just essentially banning their cards because they don't work with anything besides these leaders. Yeah. So they're pointless cards. But yeah, hell, speaking of ban lists, like we have a very minor ban list in Fusion World.
Yeah, very small.
Like it's all red. So
to be fair, red was the only thing that kind of needed to be hit at that point. But
right now, I think for the most part, I think we're in a pretty good, healthy meta. Yeah, sure, there's some cards that people want banned, which, my pick is Broly, but that's just me personally.
My thing with the ban list is, from what I'm hearing, like through the community, like Bandai doesn't like when they ban something or like a card, limit a card, it's only to 1, not to like 2 or like 3 cards, like or it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like I feel like I hate peel off. Peel off is I can't stand it. Like it makes me rage. But like I feel like if you maybe just bumped him down one, like limit him to 3, I think that's a little more tame. But like Bandai just is like, nope, we only limit 1 or ban it completely.
Well, and it's like I kind of wish they would have at least a consistent approach in terms of how they do it. Like with Masters, like it's like stuff is either banned or stuff is errated. I don't think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Phil. I don't think there's anything that's limited in Masters. I mean, obviously secret rares are mastered or limited because you can only have one secret rare per deck. But
so there actually are a few cards. There are a few cards that are limited because they are that good, but most of the time cards that get limited get banned because even at 1 they're still pretty good. But yeah, secret rares and masters are completely just limited to 1 because they're game busting.
Yeah,
you play your secret rare,
those are your game winners usually.
Yeah, exactly. And also secret rares are like hundreds of dollars depending on if you want a good secret rare.
Yeah,
like my blue Gohan Beast secret rare, I paid like $300 for it. So that's my ultimate blue secret rare. It's my boy. I love him. But if I were to say something about like why I think, first of all, you're right. Pilaf is nuts. Agreed. I will, as a blue player, I agree with that. But he's a necessary evil because if he's gone, blue doesn't have a great end game. And we need a good end game against green because green is blue's worst matchup by far. Even with blue Vegeta, it is still a very difficult matchup because the reason why I want Broly banned or at least limited to 1 is because that's what green does. They stay defensive whole game, drop Broly, then next turn drop Broly, next turn drop Broly, and then they just win because they have the bigger stick. And Broly is such a good card with no drawback, and I think that is the problem. He specifically in green androids is the problem. In other green decks, they don't ramp as quickly as green droids do, so he's not as bad. But if you can play a Broly on turn 6 when he's not to be played until turn 8, that's gonna be a problem because blue's not gonna have anything really to get rid of it, even if they absolute lightning it. Cool, next turn, drop a Broly, and he's already, the Broly that was previously played already did what it needed to do. It KO'd a card and drawed 1. So then even if you get rid of it, they can play another one, KO something else, draw another card. So I like to compare it to cards like Green Cell from set 2, where you, for playing an A cost that heals you a life and KOs 2 lower to ground bodies, you have to drop 3 energy. And I think that is like, okay, that's a really good ability, but it comes with a cost. And that's why I think Cell is a more balanced boss monster for green than Broly.
Well, it's balanced in the sense that like it's only as nasty as Broly in Cell. So since Cell is able to get back up to 8 energy within a turn anyway.
If you sequence it right, Cell will be right back.
Yeah,
there.
so Broly, it's kind of hard. I don't know if it's just card games in general. I haven't Fusion World's like the first time that I've heavily gotten involved in like a TCG in terms of like in its competitiveness and stuff in a long time. Before that was Pokemon back when I was like 9 years old. I played that competitively. So I don't know if it's just the way that like the TCG community is, but I feel like whenever there is talks of a ban list, it gets real toxic real quick.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's just like don't touch my card, but I want your card touched.
Yeah, like I understand like a lot of the mentality of like, that's like when I did a video on like a potential set 3 ban list. Not even talking like what my thoughts were on what I wanted to see hit, more so what looking at like the set 2 ban list, how you could apply the logic behind those cards to some cards in like today's form in like the set 3 format and what could potentially be hit based off of that. And while I do agree that I think Broly needs to be limited in some factor, just because like the fact that he's able to do the things that he's able to do back to back to back makes him just as bad as Kefla in that sense.
For sure.
but like there was a lot of pushback on that, just because like if you really think about it, the only true like end game boss monster that Green actually has that can like be a game winner is Broly.
Yeah, bro.
So so like I understand people being upset at that prospect, because you limit down the only boss monster that's viable at the end game for Green, then Green just takes a huge trip down the toilet.
Right.
But at the same time, it's still the matter of like things need to be made in balance. And from the set one perspective, as it's clearly shown with Pilaf, as it's clearly shown with Broly, like certain cards from set one were just overtuned, and so I think those certain cards just need to be balanced in a way that doesn't necessarily hurt the end game of those particular archetypes, but at the very least will make it a much more balanced and less toxic environment in the competitive sense.
No, agreed. Absolutely. It's one of those things that because people don't like investing money into cards that could be banned. Like, if I know people that had bought complete play sets of like Altart Keflas, Tournament Roshis, and the special Glimpse card, I believe at the time, if there is a card, I can't remember if there is one or not. But then they limited Kefla down to one, banned Roshi, and people were like, well, I just wasted a bunch of money on these cards. I'm like, well, unfortunately, I feel like with TCGs that's just the way it goes. Like, if a card is really, really good, you have to understand there is a chance it is going to get hit in some way. And it sucks that you spent money on cards that don't have monetary value anymore, or you spent a bunch of money on them and now they're no longer valuable. But like, that's why if I look at a card, I'm like, this card's getting hit. I am not buying anything anything special with this card. It's gonna get hit. But also, I felt like the ban and the limit with Kefla and Roshi hurt Red as a whole. But it wasn't their fault. It was just the fact that those cards were broken in one leader. And they weren't going to ban that leader because it had just come out. There was no way they were going to do that. So what's the option? When you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, you want to appease people because people are leaving your game in droves. People are sick of the meta that's in. It's just the top coup meta and featuring Beerus. And, it was... So you have a choice. Either ban the new leader, which is going to piss a lot of people off, or ban cards / limit cards that are not very rare, not very valuable, and it's just the easier method. Even though I think I don't know, I kind of flip-flop back and forth on this. I don't want leaders being banned. I think that's really bad for the game when you ban a leader that people really like or have like a whole archetype built around them. But at the same time, when you ban or limit a bunch of cards that are just generically good red stuff that are perfectly fine in other red decks, like paying 4 for Kefla is fair. Yeah. Like, you're paying a full 4 for her. She gets a really cool ability. That's fine. Paying 1 for Kefla is not fair and broken. And you couldn't they don't want to errata things anymore. Bandai has shown with at least Fusion World that they don't want to errata things. They just want to ban them or limit them. It's like, that's it.
And that's why.
How do you feel about like limiting to certain decks? Like, you could say, like, run 4 Keflas in a Beerus deck, but you're only allowed to run 1 Kefla in a Top 2 deck.
So, because I mean, logically, I think that's fine. But then you have to look at Bandai thinking, okay, what's going to be the easiest way for people to, get into this game? And when you tell people, oh, certain cards can only be played in certain limits, in certain leaders, people are going to be like, oh, hold on now. Like, is there a website I got to go to? Because that's one of the biggest problems with Masters is that there's so many errata cards. There's so many banned and limited cards. Like, there's like 4 to 5 pages of them on their website of just all these cards that are banned. And that's another reason like people probably don't want to get into it, because they're like, okay, what's usable, what's not usable. But I think it's fair that like Broly could be errata to only playable in Saiyan leaders. Like it's only playable in Green Gohan, or only playable in Green Broly. You know, those two
Or
decks.
Vegeta, who will never see
Or
him.
Vegeta, Vegeta, who doesn't want to get to 8 energy. Play him in that, you know, like, or Pilaf, you know, like he can only be played in Earthling leaders, which, you know, would technically only leave him with
Trunks.
Gohan or future Trunks. But like, I think Pilaf is necessary only because blue needs that for our green matchup. But if Broly were to be limited to 1, I would be fine with Pilaf being banned. Like,
Okay,
that is my thing.
Do you think Pilaf would have the same effect if it was like the 1-drop Black Hercule where it can still search for?
Ooh, if Pilaf couldn't grab itself,
Yeah,
that would very much, it would weaken most decks, but it would probably strengthen decks that run the 2-drop Videl.
Yeah.
Because the 2-drop Videl can grab Pilaf from the discard pile. You know, so you always have a Pilaf in hand. Play Pilaf, grab something else back from the drop, and it would even be better in future Trunks because future Trunks can just bounce that Pilaf back to your hand.
Yeah.
With its ability, so you can keep them safe but still abuse their potential. So if they were to limit Pilaf in a way that he couldn't grab himself from the trash, then it would just, I think it would strengthen other decks but weaken most decks.
You gotcha.
I've always been of the mindset that, like, I mean, you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree. I think others probably disagree, but I've always been of the mindset that, like, if Bandai would, like, with Fusion World, if they adopted like the Yu-Gi-Oh mindset in terms of how they handled their lists, like you have your strict ban list, you have your limited list, which is to 1. You have your semi-limited list, which is to 2, and then you have your unlimited, which was 3. Do that same exact format for Fusion World. Obviously, unlimited would just be 4, but you can limit down to 1, you can limit down to 2, or you can outright ban. And then every set you can just bring stuff out of the ban list and put new stuff into the ban list to keep the meta fresh. Always forcing player, and then that creates a whole ecosystem in terms of the competitive landscape where at least it feels refreshing every single set, and it's not like. And you're gonna have your hits, and sometimes those hits are gonna suck depending on what your deck's going to be. But at the very least, like overtuned cards will at least still have a place, just brought down into a smaller scale. And then really problematic cards are just taken out completely when necessary. But then when new stuff comes in, that would kind of balance out that broken card back in the day. It's now like not as broken, so now you can kind of. Okay. Bring that out. Like that was always my mindset, and I've always actually really liked that about Yu-Gi-Oh, as much as I hate the modern landscape of that game now. Yeah. But
that's the one good thing about Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is trash. I will die on that hill. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have to wait 10 minutes to do my turn and then only to lose on turn 2. Yeah. No. Get out of here with that. I will play GX and Prior any day, but I'm not playing that new stuff. None of that. That is so bad. I like to play my card games.
I remember because me and Alex played the Yu-Gi-Oh online client.
Master Duels are great.
Yeah. I think it was like a pendulum deck or something. Not trying to get off Fusion earlier, but just a quick story.
Oh, pendulum.
I think I was. It wasn't even my turn. It was turn. I think it was turn 1. He took like 5 minutes just setting everything up, and I'm just like, "What is going on?" And then just dead. I'm all my life points gone. I'm like, I didn't even get to do anything.
Oh no, I've heard it's one of those things that like either you draw the right hand or you scoop. Like you have to draw the exact hand you need, or you just lose the game. Like funny enough, I actually have a couple like speed duel decks that I bought just because I think that's kind of a fun format. Everything has like 1 sentence of text on it, which is awesome. Very simple, old-timey stuff. Makes my heart feel good because it's nostalgic. But yeah, Fusion World, how about that, huh? I think right now is a great time to get into Fusion World. Like there's plenty of product. Like everywhere I go, there's plenty of product on the shelf. You know, we're constantly getting new archetypes and stuff like that buffs up old stuff. And eventually, I'm really hoping this is going to be their big announcements for set 5, multicolor leaders.
Yeah, that'll be nice to see. Because like I feel like I've been really getting into black, and I always thought that 4-cost Frieza that came in the Bardock starter deck was a really cool card, just
like
based
that
off what it did. But there's no like real place to play it right now. So like
yeah, no.
So like the only thing that I would hope that I would like to see would be that like maybe we get like a yellow black Frieza Frieza deck that can be played and will allow me to play a lot of that stuff to kind of like bolster up that deck. It'd be
right. It makes sense when you look at the cards, when you look at their cost requirements. It just makes sense because hell, I'm looking at a card right now. The 3-cost Golden Frieza from this new set.
Yeah,
he costs 1 red to play. Like just 1 red, meaning like if they only ever planned on sticking with just like 1 color decks, why would they feel the need to specifically add that? I know there are some nuances like certain cards can't become free because they cost 1 specific color. So even if you lower its cost, example, Final Hope Slash and Gohan's ability, you can't make it free even though it only costs 1. But like I think that would be a huge impact on this game, being able to introduce multicolor leaders that allow you to take advantage of 2 colors and can really like in 2 colors that have some cards that like, hey, this could work really well with this card. Too bad they're not the same color. But if you have a deck that like say red blue Goku, or like you said black yellow Frieza, green red Cell, like just something out of like something that can take advantage of multiple different cards or card colors, and sure, put those leaders kind of like what One Piece does. Multicolor leaders start with 1 less life than normal color leaders. So single color leaders. So you get the benefit of playing 2 colors, but you get less life, or maybe 2 less life. And it's one of those things that you're playing with a bit of a handicap, but you have more deck creativity and freedom to build the deck that you want and not have to be restricted to 1 type of color. I think a lot of players who are leaving the game are leaving because they don't feel like they can, they don't have creativity or freedom with their deck building like they do Masters.
Yeah.
Masters is ridiculous. There's no limits to what cards you can throw in a deck. The color doesn't matter. But I think that would be a really good thing to do, especially at the year anniversary.
real quick, that Frieza card, what's the traits on that?
Frieza Clan and Universe 7.
Okay, so Frieza Clan is in that. Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
because I would think that's the only limit. That's like I think the one big limitation to multicolor decks for Fusion World, at least for right now, would be the fact that I feel like to start with they're going to be extremely limited in terms of how you can build them as a multicolor tool. Yeah, because I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like Frieza cards in red, but that's going to be heavily dependent on what a Frieza that utilizes Frieza Clan, like what colors does that deck utilize.
Right.
How would you feel about like multicolor being like the leader itself is like not like of a color archetype? What if it's like a neutral leader that has access to the color wheels around it, but you're limited in terms of what cards get put in?
Okay, so like a rainbow leader.
Kind of, yeah.
It can play any color, but like you saying it restricts certain cards. Like, what do you mean by that?
Like maybe obviously depending on whatever its effect would be, because obviously a leader is nothing without its effect.
Right.
But like say like the leader can only use certain like special traits. Like a rainbow Frieza leader would only be able to use Frieza Clan cards. Or
okay. I think that would be really neat. It'll because heck, there's a bunch of cards right now that have a bunch of different traits that we haven't seen any type of leader support or archetype support for.
Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the cards in Fusion World, they only have a specified cost of 1.
A lot of them do, but there are certain cards like that new 6-drop Jiren does have a cost of 6, but 2 red requirement.
That's actually like really cheap for that. Like I know Masters can get up to like 4 specified cost, 5 specified costs, depending on like what the actual cost of those cards are. So that's like really cheap for Fusion World.
Right. Masters also can let you play like 8-drop cards for 2 on turn 2. So like they have some things right, but not everything.
Yeah.
I love how Fusion World, you actually paying all that energy matters for a card. Like when you pay 6 energy or 8 energy for a boss, you get a boss monster.
Yeah.
While in Fusion World, you're like, cool, this really big dude I'm going to drop on turn 3, and he's basically borderline secret rare. Have fun. It's not very fun, but I would love that.
And I hope Fusion World never turns out to be like that. Like I always hear like Masters or Fusion World's just a copy of Masters just for them to save money. But like I don't know if I completely agree with that, but I just don't want...
Yeah, no, I get it. It's one of those things that a lot of people thought Masters was going to be just canceled. They were going to stop production of it. But they've gone by their word. They're sticking with both games. Just Masters is going to be taking a bit of a break from new content, and they're going to, I think, focus on Fusion World because by the time Masters comes out, we're going to have our 1-year anniversary for Fusion World. Which, I mean, if they don't do the whole multicolor leaders thing, what do you guys think they're actually going to do for like the big 1-year anniversary?
Red's not Tournament of Power. It's something new.
We're gonna get the Angel arc outgoing.
Oh, the oh my god, the Kurame, or oh god, I probably butchered that, but give me, this is gonna sound awful, give me my Mr. Popo leader.
Yes.
He is the multicolor. He's the rainbow.
He's going to release, and he's going to be at the top of the pecking order.
There's just one card that gets released, pecking order. It says you're at the top, they're at the bottom.
that would be the first victory strike in the game would pecking order Popo.
I would love pecking order Popo. I've seen Daima. He has horns. I can't unsee that.
Nope.
Yeah, right.
Yep, he is completely. It makes sense why he's as strong as he is. So
he's a freaking demon. Oh my god!
Never
saw it.
All right. Well, we're coming up towards the end of the podcast here. We're hitting almost an hour and a half. But let me ask one final question before we wrap things up. In regards of the digital client. Regards to the digital client, what kind of additions would you guys like to see put into the client, and what kind of changes would you like to see with it? Changes, I think, is pretty on the nose because I think we're all thinking the same thing, but I want to know what you guys think.
Well, Phil, I'll let you go first.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you. So right off the bat, the online client has been a lifesaver when it comes to like me wanting to play a game and just no one's available to play. I think the online client is a fantastic tool. But while I say that's fantastic, it is not fantastic for free to play players. Like, people don't want to invest money into the game. It's fine for me because I buy like 2 to 3 boxes, possibly more each set, so I'm able to hand type all those. That's my first thing. Give me a damn QR code scanner on these cards.
Yes.
I'm so sick of typing in over 100 cards every time. I freaking hate it. It is awful.
That's why I buy gems, because I'll just give my code cards away to other people. They can deal with that.
That's smart. Damn it. But that's my first thing.
Yeah.
QR reader for these cards. Pokemon can do it. You can do it. Come on, Bandai.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I wanted to basically help free-to-play players get into the game, because if they're not having fun with the game, they're not going to want to buy the physical cards, meaning the game's not going to grow. So you've got to give people an incentive to want to buy the physical cards and go play with their friends, off of the client. So I think that rewards need to be better. This daily reward thing, let's start with there. daily rewards. Screw the 10 gems. I'm sorry. That is petty. That is borderline just awful.
Yeah.
It needs to be 1 pack a day. Now, hear me on this. 1 pack a day you get for logging in. And I don't know about you, but lately when I've been opening packs, I've been getting nothing but rare packs. Like, I'm not pulling anything.
Yep.
So why did I just spend money on a digital pack if I'm not going to get anything out of it? Give people 1 pack a day, at least give them something to start building their digital collection. Then the next thing is giving better rewards for completing tasks. Like play so many games with this particular color, play so many games with this particular leader, win this many particular matches. Start rewarding people with more packs so they can build the decks they want to do, which then also leads into the client needing to have a better deck construction or card acquisition system. Like, I'm sorry, I should not have to pull 4 of the same damn SR to get a SR wild card, which then goes into this little box that only when I hit enough of those cards do I actually get 1 wild card. Yeah. Especially when they produce 8 different versions of the same, 2 different versions of the same card. So that means there's 4 and 4 of each type, which means I have to get 8 of that SR to begin with. Which means why would I need other SRs? Like, why would I need other SR wildcards if I've already gotten, as long as I can have 4 of the same card, I'm fine. But like when I'm pulling the same SRs over and over again, and I'm not pulling the SRs of a color I want, and there's no way to take all my, wild cards and put them towards something that I want, it's a gotcha system, and it's a bad gotcha system. Yeah. Especially when you had Asperia, who opened like 250 digital packs and pulled 2 of the standard secret rare Gohans and then 1 secret rare Altar Gohan. When my coworker at my job, who I got into Fusion World briefly, he opened 24 digital packs and pulled 2 SCR Goku GTs and then 2 Alt-Art SCR Goku GTs in 24 packs. He was like, hey, so I think I got some really good pulls. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's just the gacha mechanics and the drop ratios make no sense. So fix the wildcard system, give more rewards, daily pack, rant over.
Aspira and I can relate because I opened 300 packs and I only now just got my 4th copy of Super Saiyan 4 Goku. So
that's gross.
It's really gross. I'm kind of glad that I'm kind of glad that in my mind, like the secret rares for next set aren't going to be a required 4 of for either deck, because now I have like 24 SR wildcards that I can use.
I have 1 copy of each Vegeta. I have the normal, the Altar, and the God.
Yep.
That I don't even have a full playset of it. I just have 1 of each, but it works. Works for me.
Yeah. David, what changes do you want to see to the client, and what additions would you like to see come to the game?
So, I gotta be thankful to the online client first off, because without it, I probably wouldn't be playing as much as I would. Because like I play at locals once every 2 weeks because I work on Saturdays. So, but yeah, but I'm very thankful for it. But like, I'm gonna probably build on your complaints as well as far as like the crafting system, and just like to add on to that, like when you get an SR wild card, like you can't craft an alt art, or like maybe like fix the system, and then if you want to get an alt art, maybe pay a little extra material to get the alt art.
Yeah, like 2 SR for an alt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you just, like, if you want the alt art that bad, you gotta start fishing packs and you gotta start buying gems, and it's just like that gets pretty pricey. And I agree, the gem system probably needs to be fixed a little bit. I think they're getting a little better. That sure, is it still kind of lame? Yeah, but I think they're maybe trying a little bit, but it could be better. As far as like the ranking system in set 1 was kind of crap. I think they did a good job fixing that for the most part. the draft mode that should not cost 100. Is 150?
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
The draft mode is awful. I forgot about it because how bad it is. It did not cost anything. You don't get to keep the cards.
No, no.
You have to win. If you don't win, you don't even make back all the gems you spent on it if you win.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a bad system. Like, why would you spend actual gems on it when you don't get anything that's rewarding? You actually go minus if you pay it and win. How does that work?
Like, I think the last time I played was at the beginning of set 3 when I think they gave you like a ticket, and then I was like, I used the ticket and then I didn't touch it ever again.
They don't give you any way to earn tickets for that. They just gave it to you and they're like, hey, here's your freebie.
Yep. But I think that needs to be fixed. As far as like, shouldn't be able to, if it's going to cost anything, it's something very minor.
Mm-hmm.
And something you can make back. Yeah, something you can make back pretty easily if you win only a couple matches. But I don't think it should be a hindrance on you. That's kind of my soapbox on that. Alex, what about you?
I mean, I won't regurgitate everything about, you know, free to play and the crafting system and all that stuff. Like, you guys pretty much kind of covered the majority of it. I think the free to play has been a little bit better. Maybe quite a bit better. It's still the grind itself is like bad. Like, you should get more rewards just for playing the game. Getting 10 gems for winning, you know, 5 games. Because those missions, like those mission rewards, like they stack and they're like accumulative. So like, I don't think those missions ever go away. I don't think there's ever a cap on that, which I guess is good. But if I have to go through and win 10 games in a row, or not in a row, but like just 10 games in order to get to the next milestone reward for that, and it's only 10 gems, like you got to at least increase the amount of rewards you get for it. The free to play options, like what they did at the beginning of set 3, where they gave everybody 50 free packs, I thought was really good.
That was really good.
I hope to God that they do that going forward with every set, even if it is even if it stays at like 50. I don't expect them to give like packs for every single set that came prior, but
that's 2 boxes worth.
Yeah, like that's 2 boxes worth of cards. Like, I think that's great. I think for anybody that wants to get into the game, like especially the client when they can't find product, that's great. That's perfect. So like more stuff like that, like would be great for them to do that. But we'll take what we can get, obviously, with that as well. I agree on draft mode. I still think that draft mode, like if you're paying into it, getting 3 wins should allow you to get what you put into it back. And then going to 7 should double your rewards. That's how I think it should be. Because only going in, playing 5 games, not even getting to 3 wins, like if you're not getting to 3 wins, like the penalty sucks. Like, obviously you're paying into it as a gamble in the hopes that your skill is going to help you get to the end goal, which is the 7 wins. So if you don't hit a certain number of wins, then yeah, you should probably take a deficit on what you put into it. That makes sense. I understand that. But the fact that most people don't even get to 3 wins or over 3 wins, like the fact that you would only get to like 3 and you get maybe 50 of the 150 you put in, I think is a little it's underwhelming, to say the least. And I think that if they at least matched your ante by getting to a certain threshold in there, then I think that more than itself justifies playing the mode. Even if like the rewards in and of itself aren't all that great, even at 7 wins, like it's still a fun game mode. So you got to incentivize players to at least improve their skill to be able to get to that certain point, so that way they feel like they're not losing what they're putting into it.
Exactly. If you don't feel like if it's not worth playing and going through all that trouble, people aren't going to play it, and it's just going to be a mode that people will occasionally hop into. It's just not worth it. Needs to seriously be redesigned in some way.
Yeah. And then in terms of additions, to go back to draft mode, I kind of want private lobby draft mode. I want to be able to play draft mode against friends. I think that would be
cool.
I think that would be a lot of fun. And I mean, you could do that like off client. You could probably I know that like Yu-Gi-Oh has had some sites had sites where you could do like a draft mode with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then you just take that, you copy that deck or whatever into Master Duel.
Right.
Or however, I mean, someone that's much smarter than me and more technically savvy than me could make that at some point down the road. But I think having that in client, I don't see any reason why you don't. And then obviously we got the online tournament scene now, which I think is great. That's a great addition.
Yeah. That's actually really good.
But I would also like to see a way to like incorporate like
Uh-oh.
David?
Technical difficulties.
We have been going
I don't
for
know what my camera decided to just out on me. This is like, what's going?
Oh god, the podcast killed him. Oh no.
Oh no.
Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on here.
If you're watching this on YouTube, epilepsy warning. Just between all the
no.
we do apologize for that. But yeah, I mean that's really it. Like maybe even like for like, I know you got like, you can create the rooms and stuff in the client, but even doing like an online tournament or like doing like the client tournaments, do client tournament setups where it auto sets up the bracket for you.
Yep.
Would be something that they could do, but
just thought of something else that I've been wanting. Give me dub voices.
yes.
Like, I'm sorry. You don't even need to record new ones. Just take stuff that's already been recorded in the anime and just throw it in the game.
Yeah, they do that in Legends.
Right. Like, I don't understand why they won't do that. Like, you know, I'm sorry, Dragon Ball was in, like, Dragon Ball Super, the card game was in America first. Yeah, sure, they released Fusion World in, you know, other countries now to, like, help expand it, to, you know, broaden the market, which is awesome. But, like, give people different dub options and just use the audio from the anime.
Yeah, easy.
Simple. Like, I don't understand why that hasn't been implemented. I don't know if maybe they have to owe people money by using their like the anime clips. Maybe they have some agreement they can use Japanese audio and not have to pay anyone. But maybe they just don't want to pay Sean Schemmel or Chris Sabat any more money. But like, I really would love that. It would be really cool to, because like they'll have dialogue in the client, and I don't speak Japanese, so I don't understand what they're saying. You know, when Zamasu's being smirky as hell.
There's not even like subtitles. Like even I would even settle for subtitles. Like like just put subtitles in so I know what the characters are saying when they awaken. It becomes a cutscene when they awaken and whatnot anyway. So like what's the problem in putting like a small text box in?
I still want the dub.
Yeah, but the dub would be preferred.
Give me the dub.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for today's episode of KamehaRadio, a Dragon Ball podcast. So I want to thank Phil Plays TCG for coming and joining us today on the pod and talking all things Fusion World with us. Thanks so much, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. This is awesome. I'm always down to be a guest. And, you know, I love Dragon Ball Z. Obviously, like, if you look at my background, I may be a bit of a fan. I have it tattooed on me. I have this tattoo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank you. Could hurt a lot and cost a lot of money. But I'm always down to talk some Dragon Ball. Go subscribe to these guys if you haven't already. You know, we need more Dragon Ball content creators. You think that there's enough. You're wrong. We always need more.
But yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. When we come back next week, we will be talking about both Daima episode 4 and 5. And we'll be going to great lengths for what happens in those episodes. And we'll definitely have to do more Fusion World content down the road as well. So thank you guys so much.
Will be fixed.
Go ahead, say that again.
Said that my camera will be fixed.
Yes.
I don't know what
He just didn't want to be here anymore. That's all
no. An hour and 45 minutes of my life wasted.
You can hear that audio. That's in the kitchen. He's making a sandwich.
I was hungry.
But all right.
It's going to be like a can of mayonnaise or something.
But thank you guys so much for listening to us. As always, we do greatly appreciate the love and support as always. And we will see you guys all in the next episode of KamehaRadio. Have a good one.
See you.
See you, everyone. Thank you.